Believe it or not, we had our first frost warning last night. We didn't actually get a frost, but it kind of energizes the system. So first thing I worry about are container plants. My container plants, some are tender, some I will just throw away, some I look after. And to start things off, how about this Brugmansia? It looks absolutely amazing at the moment. It has to come inside. It's a tender plant. What I usually do is let this flowering occur about now, then I trim it back to a smaller tree and put it somewhere where it doesn't freeze. And it will be back next year making this glorious, amazing display. But the scent later in the day is fantastic too. What I want to do today is show you how I take care of some of my other containers, kind of give them a scorecard as well. What's good, what's bad, what's ugly, and kind of work on some of those tips that allow you to have another container next year and hopefully overwinter some of the containers as well. So let's get starting with container number one. Well, I looked at this from a distance and I've come up close and I'm going to give this one a 6 out of 10. It got damaged a little bit by the deer. Now this is an Aralia, beautiful yellow-leafed Aralia. It's actually a hardy perennial that you can plant outside. And the carex here, the golden carex here, again is another perennial. And in the front there we have a creeping jenny, a yellow form, which again, if you plant in the garden, it can actually come back next year. In the front, New Guinea impatiens and a licorice plant over here aren't hardy, so they're going to get rid of. What I'm going to do now is just show you one of the things I do to prepare myself. I'm going to kind of root prune the plants I'm going to dig up later. And I'm getting a fairly nice circle around each plant. And when the frost is more, I can see I can pull that plant up. I'm not going to pull him up now, but you can see I've cut a nice shape. He's going to go back in there. All the roots that entwine and lock each other, you're not going to damage when you pull up. The plant is actually going to form new roots inside the root ball you've separated, and that's a little bit healthier for the plant. The perennials we're going to save. Don't waste them. They're excellent garden plants. What I do is use the bed behind me. I dig a little hole and put the plant straight in there. Next year, I will wait for spring, wait for them to shoot nicely, then put them back in the container. And some of these plants are quite frost tolerant, so they can be up a little bit more when there's frost around. That's a nice thing, especially the carex and things like that. Well, for this container, I'm going to give it 4. It should be better. One of the reasons the deer have actually massacred the dahlia on this side. That should be a bright sort of splash of yellow. It's actually a kind of a pale yellow against a dark foliage and gives this bright contrast. Coleus, again, has been nibbled a bit. And this little Vinca, well, it's struggling. I like to overwinter these. These are spectacular plants. The Canis here, this and the yellow one really do outperform any other one I've had. I'm going to just see how loose the whole thing is in this container, which is that's actually fairly easy to pull out. Oh, just like this. In it goes. But I'm left with a container that could be a little bit vulnerable. So come and have a look at this, and I'll show you what I need to do. So just a refresher in terms of refilling with soil. First thing I do is check underneath that there is no soil buildup, which there is, because that, believe it or not, can sort of isolate. You can shim it up, big galvanized washers to lift up a bit so the water can drain. And what I'm going to do now is actually put a piece of bent terracotta over the hole. That makes a kind of bridge. It doesn't block the hole. And then, luckily, I have gravel all around. I'm going to bury the crock. And the water can trickle through here, go to the bottom of the container, then go under the bridge and out the hole. This has got chunks of stone in it. It's got little bits of bark chunks, and that creates airspace, porosity as they call it, and the water can trickle down through it to the gravel and out the hole. I thought I'd take the opportunity now just to explain what I do with caners that aren't such great big ones. So if we've got containers like this, cut them foliage back, just like this. 1, 2, 3. And then what I do is I will take it out of a container. Now you can see just how aggressive the roots are because the container is deformed. And for me to get this out, it's going to be tough. Sometimes you actually have to cut the container away, but this did come out. All I do is I just drop it very loosely in a big container like this. And if I got another one, I'm not going to wash anything. I'm not going to damage the roots. I'm going to leave them be. And I think that reduces the chance of an infection or a rot starting. Poor plant. There we go. So just layer them, leave some air space between them all, stack them up around there. Just be careful to mark carefully what they are. And I'm using a paint marker, which is a very good, long-lasting. This is a red Cana. I'm going to store this now somewhere that doesn't freeze. I can even put one container on top of the other. They're not going to grow, not going to do anything. All the roots are there. It's just like a bulb. It's in its own little life support capsule. I will then divide up the containers once the new growth has started. Then you can be sure not to cause any rot, because if they're growing, they're able to fight off any disease and they'll be much more successful. Well, that's what I found.
Don't go away. When we come back, Paul has some more tips for prepping your containers.
Well, this one is 5 out of 10. Not spectacular, except the Vincanas, especially this Pretoria one, looks brilliant. But I've got an idea that I could kind of tidy it up a little bit, make it look a bit better. Maybe get it a 6 out of 10. The deer have been rampant here. So I'm gonna just trim some of this Vinca back a little bit. And I don't particularly like the flowers on the Canas. I love the foliage, that's why I grow them. So I'm going to reduce some of its height. And if there's a leaf that looks a pretty moth-eaten like that one, I'm going to take that leaf out. And there's a flower shoot there, I'm just going to take that off so it looks a bit more uniform. It's always a good idea to rotate containers to let the sun hit them from different angles so it doesn't look like they're reaching out. So what to do with this one? I might just nip him off there. A little bit better. Maybe we can get 6 out of 10 on it now. And of course, with the deer being rampant, we are early October, a good deer spray, because they are desperate to fill themselves, fatten themselves for the winter. So a quick spray of deer repellent. And maybe we'll get an extra couple of weeks out of this one. Well, I have to say these little tree roses, and particularly this one, this is pink drift, are extremely nice as a container plant. Just look how nice it looks. It's been flowering all summer long. It can be planted in the garden, but roses are very vulnerable to deer chewing them down. Also, a tree rose, basically that one stem is life support. If that gets chewed up by rodents, mice or voles, that's the end of a rose. If you are planting them in your yard, then you need to use one of these kind of wraps around the stem. You just cut this one to size and it wraps around them. But remember, the top can also be vulnerable for the deer. They can nibble it and cause all kinds of problems. Now, for my final container, I've got a real beaut for you. Well, this one is worth a mention. Just look at this concrete container. It's just like a trunk of a tree. But look how nice the plants have done. We have an ajuga perennial. We have Scotch moss here, the green one, and a little hosta doing extremely well. But that's not why I'm here. This is the one I'm really quite proud of. Just look how beautiful that looks. The only thing I can say is when you do have a success story, don't forget to take a picture of it. Basically, you're taking a picture not just for your ego, so look what I've done. It's really to help you next year. If you want to duplicate this, you can easily forget what you did. So I'm going to make sure I've got a picture of all sides so I can see all the plants. It really has looked good. And just to kind of go over what we got going in here, we've got this beautiful red Coleus. There's this lovely diamond frost euphorbia. That's an annual. A Coleus is an annual. But then we have a perennial here. This is one of the coral bells. I don't know which one it is, but it's got beautiful raspberry red new growth and the pretty flowers. Then we have one of these angel wings begonia, a white one. I wasn't sure it was going to do well there. There's a lamian here, dead nettle. And tucked inside there, I can just show you here, is a little spider plant to give you a different kind of feel. So there you go, a success story. I've got to give it a 10 out of 10, don't you think? Yes. I didn't really plant it. It was Susan in the shop who did this. So there we go. We looked at some of the containers, some of the success stories, some of the not so successful stories. But if you do a little bit of preparation early on, you can cut perennials free and plant them back in your yard. Container gardening doesn't have to be this mad rush to all the big stores. You have plants in your garden that you can use, and I would suggest using more perennials, more grasses, more perennials. So if you've got any questions about container plants or any general gardening questions, I'm down here at Greystone Gardens, and I'd love to see you.